How did he seal the book of Daniel? We've got the book of Daniel right here. We've had it for centuries. You can open it up and read it. What's sealed?
He didn't understand it when he wrote it, when he was writing it. God didn't give him understanding as to what he was writing.
Who didn't give Daniel the understanding?
Right.
Okay, but Daniel was supposed to hide the words and seal the book. So Daniel's job was to hide the words, seal the book. He would have had that, on the one hand, I would think, I'm just logically processing. Daniel would have had to understand what it was and then make it ununderstandable, to hide it.
So who unlocks it now?
That's another question. So if this is the time of the end, the question is, what book did Daniel seal? Does anybody have an idea? Somebody said Revelation? Okay, Revelation was written 600 years later in another country, so he couldn't have hidden the word of Revelation. No, but see, other people have said that. I try to ask people this question in order to bring us to a mind that we can then talk from there.
Sure. This isn't an answer, but there was an aspect that Daniel didn't have Hanukkah and Purim to relate to the counting of what was going to happen, and that they were two significant benchmarks.
That's right, Purim. Somebody said that Esther's son was, or grandson maybe, was Cyrus, which is the one that sent them back. I don't know if that's true. Somebody else said it was also Xerxes, was that. I don't know if you ever saw the movie 300. It was based on this cartoon thing, but it's a real thing about the Spartans. But that was supposedly Xerxes, who was actually Esther's son or grandson. And it's like, you get these weird things and these stories get floated around and turn around. And it's like, boy, he sure looked like this pagan guy who thought he was some deity. But so did the Pharaoh, and so did the Inca, and so does some of our presidents, apparently.
Nothing new under the sun.
Well, but the point is, you'd think, well, Esther, she was like one of the good ones, and why would one of her descendants think they were deity? And it's like, well, David's son Solomon spun out too, so none of us are safe from that. But anyway, where do you think is the book that Daniel hid the words and sealed?
Would be Isaiah.
Wasn't there a scroll and he was supposed to swallow it? Was that?
No, that wasn't Daniel.
Revelation and John.
John had something about that, but there was another guy too. Was it Isaiah maybe that had the scroll they were supposed to eat? Okay, but see, that wasn't Daniel. Okay, here they go on. That's Daniel 12:4. Hide the words of the book till the time of the end. For many shall look to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Then I, Daniel, looked, and I saw one on this side of the river, and one on that side of the river. And then I saw one above the waters of the river, clothed in white linen. So I says to him, hey, how long till the end of these wonders? And he held up his right hand and his left hand, and then he swore by him who lives forever, that it would be for time, times, and half a time. The guy said, I heard and I didn't understand. So I asked him again, how long till all these things be accomplished? And he said, go, Daniel, for the words are hidden and sealed until the time of the end. They will be elucidated and clarified and refined by many. And the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the righteous shall understand. Keep forgetting this next phrase, but for something about from the time of the abomination of desolation is put in place, 1290 years. Blessed is he who comes to 1300, waits and comes to 1330 years. But as for you, Daniel, go your way, live out your days, and you will die, and you will rise to your portion at the end of days. What did Daniel do? Verse 4, hide the words and seal the book. Verse 9, the words are hidden and sealed until the time of the end. But I just read you the passage there, and do you see any words hidden and sealed? What does that chapter have to do with anything? You say, well, that's pretty sealed. It sounds pretty mystical. There's no way to know what this is talking about. So maybe one day we'll figure out what this is talking about. But are those the words that he hid and sealed? Daniel chapter 12? I mean, the other chapters were already written. So if all of a sudden he's told, hide the word and seal the book, is he just going to hide and seal these words?
It couldn't have been, though, the book, the whole book, even though I know 660 years Revelation didn't come about, he had spoken before the foundations of the world. What am I saying because my version says, "Go your way, Daniel, for these words are to remain secret and sealed until the time of the end." So in the foreknowledge of Yahweh, he knew that when we cross a certain time, he would make these things unveiled.
Okay, if this is time of the end, which words? These words, which words?
To me, it's what he's spoken to Devarim Elohim from Genesis to Revelation. Even though
Daniel hid the words back in the Torah?
No.
How could he do that? Ezra was a scribe. In fact, Ezra was a contemporary of Daniel. After they had been in captivity for 70 years, Daniel was favored by the Babylonians and Darius the Mede and Cyrus the Persian. And then, I believe it was then Cyrus who gave Ezra and Nehemiah all the military and finance that they need to go back to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. And Ezra brought with him the scrolls written in modern Hebrew, modern Chaldean flame letters, which is the modern script, is what Ezra brought back the Torah scrolls in. Now, half of Daniel is written in Aramaic, but some of Daniel is written in Hebrew. But what did Daniel hide and seal? Did he hide and seal the Torah scrolls? But Ezra comes back with the Torah scrolls, written in the flame letters, which is what they teach from even still today. How is that hidden and sealed? I'm just trying to get you to think. I'll get off this subject, get on to the ramifications of it in a second.
Because nobody has known.
Nobody's known what?
The letters.
Been hidden.
It was right there in front of everybody.
What do you mean nobody knew the letters?
Nobody knew the Paleo-Hebrew. Nobody knew the old writing.
If you-
Everything went to plain letters.
But if you ask any Jewish scribe, as a matter of fact, does anybody know who Isaac Moseson is?
I've heard of it.
Isaac Moseson is brilliant. He's a guy who used to live in New Jersey. I think he's living in Israel now. He wrote a book called Origin of Speeches. It's a playoff of Origin of Species from Darwin. This guy's a literary, a linguistical historian, archaeologist. And he shows how, he doesn't call it Hebrew. And there was a lady at this other talk we were just giving the other day who speaks Aramaic. And she said, well, the older one is really Aramaic. And there's this contention between Hebrew and Aramaic. Well, Isaac Moseson cuts to the chase and he calls it the Edenic language, going back to Eden. Linguists say that there's this thing they call the IE root language. It actually means Indo-European. They've never found it, but they can see the traces. They can see like the DNA in the language, that there was this ancient language that they say is the Indo-European root language, but they've never found what it is. But they infer, and they always refer back to the Indo-European. And Isaac Moseson says it's the Edenic language, which is identical to Hebrew, though he doesn't call it Hebrew. And he proves, he's got a blog site, and he's got these books, and it's like, this guy's fantastic. But Isaac Moseson says, this paleo is nonsense. This paleo is human drawings of earth creatures. Ox, house, camel, door, window, nail. It has nothing to do with the spiritual, like the flame letters, or ethereal and spiritual and of heaven. So this business of hiding the paleo is a bogus thing to him. By the way, I did tell him I was going to send him this 40-page. I have a few more pages to send him. He said, bring it on.
Sure.
I'll be talking to him.
Might as well.
I just always thought of it as the idea of something hidden in plain sight. Meaning that it was hidden and sealed because it wasn't meant for Daniel. You write it down, what I'm telling you, but I don't understand what you're saying, God. I don't care. Write it down. That's why I always had that idea.
Write what down? Which words?
The book of Daniel itself.
The whole book of Daniel?
Yes.
Even the
That's
ones
why-
before?
Yeah, that's what I've always presumed, and that's what that meant. That it's the book of Daniel itself, that he was told to write it down. He didn't necessarily understand everything he was writing down.
Like-
but I said, write it down.
Like the
and
ram and the
time,
goat and everything.
And
And
all the, all the visions, all the visions he had.
okay, but
That,
if he was supposed to hide the words, then it's not just Daniel, write these words down whether or not you understand them. It's Daniel, do something to these words. Mess with these words somehow and hide them. So, again, I'm trying to work with a thought process here. Can I run on that? Do we have a...
Are we sure that the angel told Daniel to hide the words, or is it God, is it Yahweh himself that is sealing the words?
Oh yeah, sure, that'd be great.
Is it Daniel that's sealing the words, or is it Yahuwah that's sealing the words? Are we sure about?
It says in what we read that he told Daniel to hide the words. Now, I'm going to write in Paleo Hebrew, and I do that for a reason. I can write it in modern here. Het, Tav, this would be a mem Sophie. Het, Tav, mem, and Samek, Tav, mem. That doesn't mean anything to you, unless you read Hebrew, maybe, but Paleo, Het, Tav, mem, and Samek, Tav, mem. Hide and seal. Now, is anybody from, yeah?
I'm looking at my, this is the ESV, that's just what I have on my phone. But in the way this is translated, it says, "Go your way, Daniel, for the words were shut up and sealed until the time of the end." So it's not Daniel hiding them, it's basically God hiding them. So that's why
Well,
I've always
that's-
been taught that it's basically that the understanding of it is hidden. Because earlier on in the chapter, Daniel actually asked God for an explanation, and God basically says, "I'm not giving you one." So I had always been taught that
Right.
that was that God himself was basically hiding the
Yeah,
understanding
because I
of it.
mean, if it was totally hidden, then where did the folks understand that the time period of the Messiah was going to come? Because that is predicted in Daniel itself.
So something wasn't hidden, something was hidden. But I
Yeah, so
think,
is it hidden or is it not hidden?
okay, but I think that verse that you just said, the words are hidden and sealed is in verse 9. But in
Right.
verse 4, he's told
That is the
to hide
context
them.
of the passage.
What is
No,
that?
You're pulling this out of the context of the passage. It's Daniel's wondering why this message that's coming down through the whole book. There's a lot of stuff in there that he doesn't understand, some of which is explained, some of which is not. And he's asking for understanding. The final part of it, it said, hey, write it down, it's not for you.
Okay, so, as you can see, if we wanted to, we could keep going on for an hour or two and maybe more than that. So I'm going to show you something. I didn't read Hebrew a few years ago at all. And I opened up this Tanakh that a friend got me, and my eyes fell on Daniel 12 for some reason. I was just flipping through, and all of a sudden, the letters, Ayin Dalet in modern, Ayin Tav, just kind of struck me. I don't know if it was the simple form